A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you.
这说的是回家探亲吧，回家探亲。现在就开始了，回家看老房子的过程。
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the
11岁之
rooms.
前都在这里。你看吧，17岁又回来了。继承我的兄弟什么，这葬以后再也没回来过。
My mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked.
6年。
Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
我想要把钥匙。
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
跑不了，能靠走路。
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it. As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house. I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't. Looking in, I felt like the house itself had been waiting for me. Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
刚才那段没录上，那个语音没打开，声音没打开，现在开始。
For the first time in years,
这么多年来第一次，
I felt like I was home.
感觉自己到家了。这不就是你的家吗？很久没来了，这都是你的家，这都是你的家。你还别说，这还挺干净的，啥都有，罐头。
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
很模糊，这是一些零星的睡意，零星的记忆。这是什么？
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
中国菜。啊，没有了吗？哇，
The table was still a wreck from the night we left.
只剩下残骸。
It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
爆炸。放过了家具。不会发霉吗？
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
曾祖母，养老院。
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
本身就
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house after it sank.
沉默后留下来。这还有电视呢。 这可以交互。
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
离它远一点，那就打不开了。啊？
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house.
救了一个，就没了吗？果然。这个什么？
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
龙卷风都没有带走。这不能交互啊！
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
我的兄弟还活着。上楼看一下吧。
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms.
失踪了。
Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
为了报复。
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
问题。哦，这能。
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
抛弃了他，被抛弃了。1944到1960。哦，这个时间段。
Edie's father Odin built the original house.
他建造。
Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
上锁。
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
没有把这房间封起来。
Louis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed him. Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
保守秘密。
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
进来了。
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. From the paintings on the wall, it was
你
clear
可能觉得我已
my
经
brother Milton had been here before me.
我的兄弟就来过这里。
But I had no idea what was behind that door.
公主房吗？
Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
一幅画里面，对呀，这就是一幅画呀。这景色，这装饰。
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It
1974。
started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
啊，杀手的食物，这不是吧？
I kept eating and eating.
啊，这牙膏吗？哈哈，搞错了，搞错了。
I ate a lot of things that night.
什么啊？是不是把那个仓鼠的东西也吃了？
I come out now?
Sweetheart, it's late. Go to sleep.
饿呀，南瓜呀，
My Halloween candy was all gone.
会饿死了吗？仓鼠的食物，这个
The
比
gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
这应该比牙膏强吧？那个是不是牙膏啊？
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a
鸟叫。
barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her.
这个都被上锁了
And suddenly,
啊！
I was a cat.
变成一只猫呀，离谱了。
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
啊，还能这么玩的吗？谁在打呼噜啊？
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired.
必须要抓到那只鸟吗？
Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up.
然后就没了
Suddenly, I was an owl.
啊！
First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
兔子，哦，抓兔子。哎呦！
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
太离谱了！
A mama rabbit.
兔子妈妈，
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
啊？哎这么离谱吗？啊，那不就死了？动不了。顺利下河是吧？
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever.
啊，我没看到字啊。比任何时候都饿。
I wanted fat, juicy seeds.
哎哎，
I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. I grabbed on tight. And I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
啊，又变成啥了？
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people.
怪兽，你要吃人了是吗？ 还真的要吃人啊，就离谱了。
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't. After the last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
美妙的什么旧管道？啊，爬上来了吗？哦，马桶，所以被吃掉了是吗？你把自己吃掉了。
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to be, and we both know I will be delicious.
就离谱。
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
他肯定相信，我都不信，太离谱了。什么？现在我出去了吗？
I can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here.
我也很难形容。哎，我咋出去啊？又来这只猫。哦，没有铁链了。
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly. I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
曾祖母。
We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom. Her room was like a museum.
她的回忆录，估计。
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
90岁，年轻。
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
相当大的印，这门开不了。这呢？
There's a secret in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
厉害厉害。
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
翻新相机。啊，我那边还没看呢。哎呦，我都没看那个。
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin. and that he never talked about him. I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
哦，开头这个画面。
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did.
死了也不是。
At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
哇，这画面。
Calvin, dinner's ready. Coming.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it. I told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that.
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
哎，停不下来了吗？
Maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind.
出事。
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
然后出事，我就知道。
The day he made up his mind to fly, and he did.
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
真的，1950、1961， 11岁。
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
一半的房间。
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
哎呀，没看到，哎呀。 别，我那边还没看呢，我先回去看一下。那个日记我还没看呢，奶奶的日记。
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious.
大型产妇。
I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him.
怀念他。
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune. Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan. On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind. But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
沉入海底。
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery. His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
没了吗？那果然没了。这不是。
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
最基层，最底层。走了走了。
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies. Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
是一位童星，这不是奖项吗？拿的奖，奖杯。
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
之后的日子，他的故事。
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream. Now at 16, she was all washed up. A has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed. Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room. So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter. Her convention comeback was cancelled.
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe. I'll be back in a sec.
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue.
都没回来。
She reached for the music box. And as she wound the key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent. She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl Hamill, who impaled and then ate his family 10 years ago tonight.
The old fridge rattled and grew still.
Oh dear!
Oh!
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and...
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
Barb, have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah! Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
又来。
Walter, are you there? Walter had vanished, but his bedside radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite smashing. He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
That night, she played her part beautifully. She thought about abandoning Walter, but just couldn't do it. Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned. He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
他去补一刀吗？补刀是吧？下去补刀，这么慢吗？
Vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was... Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara.
不是。 谁又来了
At the door, she heard whispering. It was coming from inside the house.
Oh dear.
Surprise!
You were wondering.
The monsters had come to surprise her. For Barbara, it was a dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there myself, but I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter? Hiding under his bed the whole time. He took it all pretty hard, but that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear. Now that's what I call a real eerie tale.
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was. Maybe what Edie saw was a happy ending.
真离谱。